What's up everybody, and welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to start working with some Svelte variables, reactivity, and data binding for like inputs and buttons. Variables are very important to Svelte because they are what handles reactivity. In order to update your component state, you do use locally assigned variables, and when you change those variables, that's what will trigger a re-render. So as you can see, I did clean up the app component a little bit. I got rid of the counter. We're just left with the title, but we're going to change that and start adding in some variables to show you how they work. So let's go ahead and start defining some variables that we could use to give some examples. We'll start with a name. And let's get a coffee type. So as you can see, you use curly braces in order to display the variables in your HTML. So let's go ahead, we'll write hey, comma, name in curly braces. And if we save that, you get hey Brian. And then let's throw this in here. Coffee type, coffee. And as you can see, it updates. So now that we have those variables defined, let's go ahead and create a click event in order to update the state of the component. So we'll throw in a button. And we'll do update coffee type, coffee. And in order to handle an on-click event, you use on:click. And then you can throw in a click handler function. So we'll just do handle click. And since that's not defined, you'll get the red squiggly. So let's define this. Throw a arrow function up here with handle click. And when we click that button, we want to update the coffee. So we'll do coffee type equals iced. And if we save that, and if we hit update coffee, you could see that it updates the state of the component and it displays an iced coffee there. And one thing I do want to make note of is notice how we didn't call the function right away in the on-click handler. The reason we don't call it right away is so that it doesn't automatically run that function when the component mounts. You just make sure you leave off those parentheses, and then the on-click handler, once you click the button, will handle launching that function. Now, the next thing I'd like to do is show you how to bind data to an input. So we'll go ahead and we'll create an input, and it'll be of type text. So let's make this input update the coffee type. So what we'll do is we'll put an input handler, so on:input. And we'll make a function for that, handle input. And in this function, we'll just do handle input. And what you want to do is you want to grab the event that happens when you type into it. And we'll throw that down here. And what we're going to do is we're going to set the coffee type. And you grab the event.target.value. This basically grabs whatever you're typing in and it will update it. So now that you're grabbing the events, if we go ahead into here and we type in, let's just say macchiato, as you can see, it grabs that value that you're typing in and it puts it into the coffee type variable. And now if you click this button, as you can see, it updates you back to the iced coffee, but it doesn't update the input. So what we have to do is we have to bind the data back to it. So what you can do is you can do value equals coffee type, and that'll bind it back to update. So as you see, we updated to iced, it updated in the input, you put macchiato. It updates, and then if we update it back to iced, the input goes back to iced. And Svelte does have another way to bind data to inputs. If you are going to do one way or the other, where you just want to either have the event captured or you want to bind a value to it, you do have to use this. But if you wanted to bind coffee type to go both ways, you could do bind value equals coffee type. Let me save that. As you can see, it updates and it goes both ways. And now we can get rid of the input because it's not being used. So we'll save that. And as you can see, it still works. Now there is one more very important thing with variables and reactivity. So let's go ahead and define some more variables and then I'll explain exactly what we're gonna do. So we'll do let number of donuts equal 1. And then we'll do let order equal, and we'll make this a template string of here is your, and then in order to put a variable in a template string, you do the $ curly braces, coffee type, and number of donuts, donut. All right, so now we have an order and we have a number of donuts. All right, so now that we have an order, let's make this the order, this paragraph. So we'll just throw this like this. Now what you'll notice is if I update the coffee, it updates in the input, but it will not update up here. This is due to the way that the reactivity is handled. Now in order to make your order object reactive and update to that update, you have to add in a $ to it. And what that'll do is that'll update it. It'll make it reactive to the way that you're updating the information. So essentially this $ makes order into a reactive block. So what it does is it tells the compiler that there are variables that are associated with this block, and when they update, to update that whole block. So that pretty much sums up the basics of variables in Svelte. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please let me know, and I will see you in the next one.